From the John DeVita Broadcast Center, it's time for Wealth and Wisdom with Fred Belcastro on the Windy City Hometown Entertainment Network and Jack FM 89.7 WRHS FM Norwich on Friday, May the 12th, the year 2017. And now, here he is, Mr. Fred Belcastro.
When you're smiling,
when you're smiling,
when you're smiling,
when you're smiling,
and the whole world smiles with you.
smiles with you.
And when you're laughing,
When you're laughing,
oh, you're laughing.
oh, you're laughing,
When the sun comes shining through.
shining through.
When you're crying,
When you're crying,
you bring on the rain.
bring on the
Stop
rain.
your sighing.
Stop your sighing,
Won't you be happy again?
happy again.
When you're smiling,
When you're smiling,
keep on smiling.
Good morning and welcome to the Wealth and Wisdom program. My name is Fred Belcastro, and I'm going to be your host over the next 30 minutes as we provide financial clarity so that you can see, create, cultivate, and keep your money in a tax-efficient manner. Tax-efficient manner. Last week, I think it was the week before, we even spoke about tax efficiency, and it prompted a couple of questions from our listeners. But before I get to that, let me call attention to the fact of, once again, we're broadcasting from John DeVita Broadcast Center here on the northwest side of Chicago. And this Friday morning, you're listening to us on Jack FM 89.7 WRHS out of Norwich, Illinois. Sure, I mentioned several weeks ago about how you pay your taxes, and what prompted the phone calls was questions concerning, well, are we withholding enough each week from our paychecks so that at the end of the year we don't have to come up with an additional out-of-pocket check to the IRS? Or are we withholding too many dollars? Should we be filing quarterly? Is that what you're talking about when you talk about, and I made the statement, how you pay your taxes? I know that's the statement I made because I talk about how you pay your taxes. So I want to get to that. But before I do, it's the same four questions. If you're serious about financial future, and most of us are, let's take a few minutes and just look at what might be the answer to some of these questions. The rate of return. What percentage are you receiving? What percentage do we have to earn on our savings, on our investment dollars? The amount necessary to be able to retire at our current standard of living. And believe me, it's the current standard of living. We don't go to work at 64 in 364 days, come back retired, and then all of a sudden cut our living expenses, our lifestyle by 60 or 70%. It just isn't done. And it's foolish and misinformative thinking that would lead us to think that anything like that should ever occur. And not only the amount of dollars that we're going to live on from 65 to 66, 67, but also the amount of dollars that will last us through our life expectancy, whatever that might be. But what rate of return do we have to earn? When we look at our programs each year, our spreadsheets each year, what rate of return are we earning today on our individual accounts? Not the total sheets that we get, but the individual accounts, the placement of our dollars, the placement of our accumulated money. What rate of return are we getting? And then what rate of return are we receiving overall? And we'll talk about the rate of return a little bit in our discussion concerning taxes. All right, another question that I've hammered home. How much do you need to save? You get paid monthly, you get paid weekly. How much do you need to save, either monthly, weekly, or on an annual basis to be able to afford a retirement? Are we putting enough money away? And when we put money away, where does it come from? Does it come from our accumulated money? Do we invest in programs that may sound good, that are good, or whatever it might be that we feel comfortable in investing our dollars in? Where do we get those monies to invest? We take them from our lifestyle? If we take the monies from our lifestyle, well, that reduces our lifestyle, doesn't it? Okay. If taxes increase, that also reduces our lifestyle. And if inflation continues at the clip that it has been over the last 30, 40 years, that reduces our lifestyle. And then we say to one another, gee, I can't save as much as I used to. But how much more do we need to save? All right, another question. What are we doing? What are we doing? And if we just do whatever it is that we're doing right now and continue along the same path, are we still going to have to work beyond age 65? How long will you have to work if you have to work to be able to retire? But I'm talking about retiring comfortably. I'm not saying go out to the forest preserve and live in a box. I'm talking about maintaining our current standard of living until life expectancy, whatever that might be, in face of inflation and taxation. All right, let's suppose we don't do anything at all. We don't do anything different than we're currently doing. Will we have to reduce our standard of living? Is that what we're faced with? We either have to work till 74, 76, 80 years old, or no, we don't have to work. I've got plenty of money to last me the rest of my life, the joke goes, providing I pass away at the end of the week. Now, but if we don't do anything different than what we're doing, how much will we have to reduce our standard of living? Got to get the answer to these questions. 4 questions: rate of return, what do we need to save, how long will we have to work if we don't have a sufficient amount of dollars to carry us through our lifestyle, and then what would the reduction in our lifestyle actually be, and can we live on it? You know, we've been talking about accumulating money and wealth and wisdom for years now, and I've talked about the choices that we make, and the choices. We talk about the choices that our youngsters have to make, the choices in college, the choices at Ridgewood, the choices that we have in school. But we also have decisions to be made in the areas of accumulating our money and how we live our lifestyle, and a lot of that has to do with allotting the money to these transfer costs. The costs, remember, I talk about this each and every week. This is the amount of dollars that I look at to begin a program with, because I found there's more of an opportunity for me to help my clients by helping them realize, see, and eliminate the unexpected transfer of payments, unnecessary and unknowing transfer costs. And some of those transferred costs are taxes on interest payments. Very often we just take these payments as necessary. It's unavoidable. In fact, it's not. It's not unavoidable, and it's not necessary. This is an area we strive to look at and try to seek out these expenditures, these dollar amounts that if we save those transferred costs, we're able to increase the amount of money that you could accumulate and keep in your pocket of wealth. You know, one of the largest areas of these transfers is the payment of taxes. In fact, many times, initially, when I prepare a statements, I don't even include the transfer costs of taxes, because if you take that over a period of time, as an individual, a client is 50 years old, and to 65 he's got 15 years of taxes. Take a look at what you pay in taxes over that 15-year period. I'm talking about the 1040 taxes. So it's a tremendous amount, and I just leave that alone on the first go around, because the compounding of this interest in taxable accounts is just too tremendous. But today everybody's just looking for that higher rate of return, and that would be, what are you going to get by today's standards? 6%, 8% is phenomenal. I think is a good rate. If you listen to some people on the radio, they'll tell you that you can get 12, 13%. Okay. But we all want that higher rate of return. In fact, in my lectures, one of the things that we discuss on the onset is, of course, the fact that everybody's pockets are different, everybody's accounts are different, everybody's qualified counts are different. We all have different amounts of dollars that we've accumulated during our working years, and that's fine, and that's the way it is. The only thing that we do have in common, account to account, is that we want our accounts to grow. We certainly don't want to lose any money, but we want them to grow. And so what we do, we look for the higher returns. We look for better investments. We want that higher rate of return. But in order to get that, we often act without a clear understanding, without any understanding, thought maybe, to the results of our actions, the potential for gain, and how about the potential for loss. We say that our gains are good investments, good decisions that we've made, and with the compounding of the interest in some of these mountain charts, we say, wow, this is as a result of compounding my money, the eighth wonder of the world, the subject of some remarks by Einstein, the eighth wonder of the world, compound interest. We all know that these projections, we've all seen these. If we've bought any mutual funds, we've seen the projection of these mountain charts, as they're called, that show us how if you invest your money and in this or that, it'll grow to astonishing amounts of money. You average 10%, 5%, 12%, with very little risk. See, but when you look at these, you say the interest is applied to the investment that we put in, and it compounds, and then the dividends and interest accumulates and is reinvested, and it's into the same account, and the growth is in the account is tremendous. It's a real dramatic effect if you bring it out to 20 or 30. In fact, I call it magic. It's magic, but the magic, you've got to look at what this magic really is, because there's another side of the coin. The same magic that we glow with also has a dark side, and the dark side of it is increasing tax. And we're going to talk about that not only in the introduction today, I think, but in our discussion next week. This tax that we sometimes forget about. And when I talk about how you pay this tax, this is what the big transfer fees I'm relating to. Because under our tax laws, well, I get this statement from the bank or from the mutual fund company that tells me how good I'm doing and how my dollars are compounding with this magic account. But along with that, congratulations, I also get a little form called a 1099. Yeah, that shows you the amount of interest that you've earned. That's the amount of interest that you earn that you pay tax on. No problem. We'll pay the tax because you render to Caesar what Caesar. They also send the copies to the government. So you get a copy, and the government agencies get a copy, the IRS has a copy. Oh, okay. And then depending on your bracket, you've got to share this. You see, you've got another partner. Yeah, you got a partner. You got the IRS. You got Uncle Sam. So depending on your tax bracket, you're going to share this tremendous eighth wonder of the world with Uncle Sam. No problem. We want to pay our fair share. But it's how we pay our fair share that determines how much money we're going to be able to keep in these wonderful accumulation accounts. Remember I talked about the three areas of dollars? We have our accumulated dollars. We have the dollars that we've spent on our lifestyles. And, of course, we have these transfer dollars that I've been hammering for the number of years that I've been doing this. And believe me, when you look at some of these things, the chasing of the higher yields with higher risks sometimes isn't really worth it, my friends. Take a look. Find out for yourself. We're all over 21, right? We're all over 16. We've all celebrated our 16th birthday. Well, those days have been gone for a long time, but let's hear what the Crests have to say about it today.
Happy birthday, baby. Oh, I love you so. 16 candles make a lovely light, but not as bright as your eyes tonight. Blow out the candle, make your wish come true. For I'll be wishing that you love me too. You're only 16, but you're my teenage queen. You're the prettiest, loveliest girl I've ever seen. 16 candles in my heart will glow forever and ever. For I love you so. You're only 16, but you're my teenage queen. You're the prettiest, loveliest girl I've ever seen. 16 candles in my heart will glow forever and ever. For I love you so. For I love you so.
That, of course, was 16 Candles by the Crests back in 1959. They came up with that hit while we danced to that smooth, cool music. All right, we're back to the Wealth and Wisdom. We got to thank you for listening to us every week and enjoying your phone calls, the comments, suggestions that you make to the program. I, as an individual, enjoy providing what I believe to be clarity so that you can create and keep your money in a tax-efficient manner. It's important today, maybe more than ever before. So what I'm going to outline in the days to come is the IFR, what we call for, it stands for, we talk about the three places of your money, the transferred, accumulated, and lifestyle money. There's also three ways to pay taxes on your money that are compounding in a taxable event. This would be either in CDs for most individuals or for mutual funds that we own outside of qualified accounts that we are required to receive that 1099 and are required to include that in our taxes each and every year. And so what I want to give you in the weeks to come, are some tools, like I talked about, paying the increases on a flat tax, or just paying the increase each and every year as you've been doing it, or reduce our taxes, and we'll discuss on how you can do that in the days to come. When we receive that 1099 to include in our taxes on the 1040 and on the 1040 schedule, how does that affect us? Let me lay it out for you. And when I do this, I walk over to the blackboard and write it down. I'll give you figures. Forget the figures. The figures are unimportant. What's important here is the concept, what we're doing and what has to be done, and what your accounts, your savings account and a taxable investment, what occurs each and every year. We have a deposit. You'll make a deposit. Now, I arbitrarily pick these figures out of the air. If you're not, I say I'm going to use an 8% interest expense. I can't get in. We're not talking about the rate of interest that you're getting, I'm getting, somebody else is getting. The interest is unimportant. It's taxable. The interest is taxable. All right, so we make a deposit, say of $5,000. We receive an 8% rate of return, and we're going to keep this account for 30 years. These figures have to be sufficient enough so that you could understand or help us understand the concept. We have, at the end of 30 years, $611,000. All right, nice. We're happy with it. Over $500,000 on just making an annual deposit of $5,000. Again, you've got to catch the concept, and that's what's important, the understanding of what these figures are. We're not sitting down at a kitchen dining room or your desk going over these accounts. I'm doing this over the radio. And so you have to imagine, pretend, think about, just utilize this concept approach. Each year, you watch your account grow, don't you? If we just run a ledger on it, it's very easy. Simply, we just pay the tax and not realizing that there's a problem that's developing here. We received a 1099 from the investment account, from the bank, or from the mutual fund or the investment company, and we pay whatever. We hand it over to a tax preparer or whatever, but we pay the amount of taxes that's due. Now, if you're like everybody else, if you're like most investors, you don't pay or even consider a tax on an account-by-account or investment-by-investment basis. People just don't do that. We do it in the preparation of your program so you can see exactly what tax is this investment giving me. What do I have to pay on this tax? What does this tax cost me? Because remember in our discussions previously, it's not just what you pay in taxes. There's other things taken into consideration as well. We'll come into those in the weeks to come. Well, what I'll tell you, ready? Am I going to surprise you? There's an opportunity cost on that tax. Once you give up $1 that you didn't have to give up, you not only lose that dollar, right? But you lose what that dollar would have earned you over the next period of time. So be conscious, be aware. That's what putting these things down, that's what using these spreadsheets help you do. Instead, what happens is that you just lump it all together and write a check. You just pay your taxes. You ask your tax preparer, you look at the second page of the 1040, down at the bottom it says amount you owe, or amount to be refunded to you, one or the other. By paying it this way, though, it's easy to miss really the impact of what any one investment decision has on your entire portfolio. Remember, we talked about the choices and how each one plays a critical part of the total. No total should be just taken by itself. But each individual decision, each individual choice that we make throughout the year has a big effect, So I've gone on and tried to expand on that $600,000 to give you a better picture of the growth in both interest and in the tax liability. But I'd like to, before I get to that, listen to something that's very precious to you and to me as well.
A very precious love is what you are to me. A stairway to a star night in Shangri-La of ecstasy. Lanterns of gold, lanterns of blue, twinkle in the shadows while I dance with you. An echo in the wind across the summer lake is saying you should know that lanterns lose their glow and hearts can break. So hold me close, my darling, then kiss me tenderly and give your precious love, your very precious love to me. An echo in the wind across the summer lake is saying you should know that lanterns lose their glow and hearts can break. So hold me close, my darling, then kiss me tenderly and give your precious love, your very precious love to me. Your very precious love, oh, give your precious love to me.
Of course, A Very Precious Love, sung by, do you recall that voice? It's Mr. Jack Jones from 1958. Let me, in the minutes that I have available, just recap what I've talked about and what I plan to discuss further in the next week and perhaps even the week after, because it's important. When I say depends on how you pay your tax, we've got to understand that you could pay the increased tax, pay a flat tax, reduce the tax. These are three ways to pay the taxes that are compounding in a taxable environment. When you receive that 1099, you have these choices. And again, folks, there's no right answer. It's just helping you understand which would be efficient in what you're doing, in your account, in what you're trying to do, in light of the 3 or 4 questions that we ask. How are you doing with the rate of return? Do you have enough? Will you have more than enough? Can you contribute to others' lifestyle? Do you have children that could share in this today? If not, do you have to reduce your standard of living? There's a couple of ways to deal with the taxes from these accounts. And the obvious one is, of course, get it out of the account. Move the entire account to a tax-favored position. Okay, but that's not always possible. So not only is it not possible, but it's not the best thing to do in your cases. So when we look at these 3 things you can do in the weeks to come, we're going to cover them and see what's more applicable to you. Again, get the concept into your mind. We know what compounding your money looks like. We start with that lump sum, that $5,000. We invest it each year, and the account grows and the interest is paid. We just roll that interest earned back into the account. We keep it compounding because of that. Oh, look at that stack grow that eighth wonder of the world that's magic and that continues to compound and roll along. Well, the major focus, we're staring at this compound interest. Are you forgetting the taxes that increase as it goes along? These things go unnoticed. That's what we're going to talk about. The taxes, the fact that we have a partner in this, the government. The government's a silent partner. We hope they remain silent and not knock on our doors for to collect an account. But there are silent partners in this account. They don't have any risk. They just send you a bill at 1099 and they participate. That Martin chart, all the money you've made, well, they participate. I'm not saying they shouldn't. This is the way it is. But while you're focusing on the interest, they're counting their returns too, because that interest is growing. The taxes are going right along with the growth of your account. Same account, and remember what we're doing. We're paying the taxes. We're writing the check at the end of the year. We're making our deposits along the way when we receive our paychecks from our current lifestyle, rather than taking the tax due from the investment account. Okay, our time is up for this week. I'd like to once again thank Mr. John DeVita, who keeps my voice between the lines I see in that machine over there. But we'd also like to give a shout out and a thanks to our executive producer, Mr. John Chikanda, and all the people associated with Jack FM who makes this programming possible in the days to come. And in the days to come, why don't we go out and be kind to one another and make somebody smile. Talk to you again next week. Thanks for listening.
When you're smiling,
When you're smiling,
when you're smiling,
when you're smiling,
and the whole world smiles with you. And when you're laughing,
when you're laughing,
oh, you're laughing.
oh, you're laughing,
When the sun comes shining through.
shining through.
When you're crying,
When you're crying,
you bring on the rain.
bring on the
Stop
rain.
your sighing.
Stop your sighing,
Won't you be happy again?
happy again.
When you're smiling,
When you're smiling,
keep on smiling.
keep on smiling.
And the world will smile with you.
You have been listening to Wealth and Wisdom with Fred Belcastro from the John DeVita Broadcast Center on Jack FM 89.7 WRHS FM Norwich and the Windy City Hometown Entertainment Network on Friday, May the 12th, the year 2017. This broadcast was directed by John DeVita. Our special thanks to radio station manager Kevin Zeflik of WRHS FM Norwich and the executive producer of Windy City Hometown Entertainment Network, Mr. John Chikanda. Until next time, please be safe and thanks for listening. This program was pre-recorded on Wednesday, May the 10th, the year 2017. And this is Jack FM 89.7 WRHS FM, Norwich, Illinois. Having a safe and enjoyable weekend, everyone.